Hi, peeps. Welcome to the Culture and People Cast. Today we have Tim Houlihan. Tim, in a few sentences, would you tell us who you are and what you do?
So my name is Tim Houlihan, and I'm the founder of BehaviorAlchemy, which is a behavioral science consultancy. And I'm also the co-founder of a podcast, Behavioral Grooves, with Kurt Nelson, who is, I believe he's already been a guest,
Yes.
fantastic co-host and partner in this. And that's kind of how I see my life these days, is really as a podcaster and behavioral science enthusiast. Applied behavioral science enthusiast, really.
Applied behavioral scientist. I love that work that you do. And yes, Kurt Nelson was actually on my long form podcast, Build High Performing Teams. And he was my first guest on this Culture and People videocast. So
of course, I'm always following his footsteps. So
no, he's a great friend. I love what you guys are doing on Behavioral Grooves. So much great stuff going on there. So we'll make sure we link to that in the show notes so you guys can check out that podcast, doing such great things. And you just hit 200 episodes, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. So now we're at like 215 or something, but it's pretty fantastic to be. Oh, that's a huge milestone, 200 episodes. Like we're in it for the long haul now.
Yes. And look, we're having like a 10-minute conversation. Those are long form podcasts and those are a lot of work. So I commend you for putting that energy out into the world. Thank you for that. And Tim, I know that both of you, but specifically for you, you've been doing this work positively affecting culture and people in the workplace for quite a while. What's your favorite thing about this type of work?
Well, it's a complex world and we have a hard time. Our brains are still 40,000 years old. And so it's hard to make the kinds of decisions that we need to make and are confronted with on a daily basis in a complex world. And so I love the idea of using behavioral science to reduce our cognitive load, make things easier. Let's actually harness the defaults when we can. Let's build systems and contexts and situations and that are going to be helpful for people to make better decisions in the workplace, at home, in any aspect of their life. That's what I love about it, is that we can live a better life with good behavioral science applied to us.
We can, and there's so much that we can learn. And I think some people hear the term behavioral science, or really, I think probably any people or HR related term, and get a little like, oh, I don't know about that, right? It sounds too complicated. But there's really a simplicity to or like you said, right? Reducing the cognitive load, harnessing those defaults when we can, and building the systems, right? The ecosystems and the processes so that people can thrive within these organizations, whether they're 6-person or 600 or 6,000 person teams.
Yeah, just by way of example, behavioral science in itself is a new form of sort of, doing the academic stuff around how it works. But every time you walk into a retail store or you're online and you're shopping and you see a pair of pants that were originally $99 and then they have a big red line through them and they're only $29, you go, that's a fantastic deal. That's behavioral science at work for us. That's helping us make a decision right then and there, because it's saying, oh, that's a good deal. I should act on that.
That's a good deal. And we need more of that in the workplace. We need more attention around this really good things, because listen, not just because of quarantine, but forever, right? I've been hearing that engaging employees is a challenge, right? So we could say now more than ever, however you want to attach it to that. But Tim, what are your thoughts when you hear organizations talking about the challenge or the opportunity of engaging their employees?
Yeah, the number one issue is burnout, based on, I think, a lack of work-life balance. That all the data is indicating that people are working longer every day, anywhere from 1.5 hours to 3 hours longer every day. And that adds up. And it adds up not just in terms of time away from things that we love, people that we love, things that we want to be doing other than work, but it also adds up in terms of creating a chronic stress environment for us. And that starts to be debilitating in terms of our physical and mental and emotional health. And I think that's a problem that absolutely needs to be addressed by the companies, by the leaders in the company. I don't think that this is a day and age when we can just say, you go figure it out, employee. No, I think the leaders need to not so much take responsibility, but own the fact that the problem is in their backyard and that they have something that they can say about it and do about it.
I know. And a lot of companies lifted and shifted their 9 hours of in-person meetings, which was not healthy, to now 9 hours of or Zoom meetings, I should say. And that was really scrappy because we had to have crisis remote work. But now we need, if you're going to be remote or hybrid or even return to work in a collaborative environment, we need to be rethinking the systems and the processes that enable performance and humanity, right? We need both.
Absolutely. Exactly. The return to the office thing should be equally about the new version of humanity than what we had. We have to recreate. And it's
Yeah.
going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth the investment, because I fully believe that in the future, we're going to define how well companies did. Like the company's legacy of how they're going to be perceived in the future is being built right now. We have to do well now.
Yes. Ooh, we're building our legacy right now. That gives me chills and it gives me encouragement, right? Because I mean, as a leader myself, as a business owner, right? Whether I was doing it internally as an entrepreneur or now as an entrepreneur, I take leadership seriously, right? It's like parenthood. It's an honor. It's the hardest job and it's an honor and it's a choice, right? For leaders, I'm hoping that there might be some leaders that step down and say like this new demand that the employees are making of leadership and of their companies, I'm not in it, right? That's great. Go be an individual contributor, add value there. But the true people leaders, the nurturers of humanities are the ones that we need right now.
I couldn't agree more. And by the way, there is nobility in quitting, in walking away from something. There really is. Recognizing our own limits. And I think about, the climbers that were up with John Krakauer on the Everest climb. 5 or 6 of them died. A lot of them turned around and went home. They said, this is not good for me. They're the ones that lived. They're the smart ones. They said, this is beyond my limits, beyond my abilities. I'm going back. And we need to recognize that.
Yes, I love it, Tim. So let's get really tactical. There's somebody on it that we've now convinced. They say, okay, we want to have a better culture. We want to have better people practices. What's a habit, a behavior, something that they could start doing tomorrow that would have a positive impact in that area?
Set boundaries. Set a boundary in some way. Set an alarm. Okay, so I have troubles with this as well. And so my thing is to set an alarm on my phone to say at some time, I'm going to stop. And when the alarm goes off, I have to commit to saying wherever I'm at, I'm going to close the laptop and walk away. And by the way, that's actually a good thing, because the Zeigarnik effect, which is a wonderful aspect of how our brain will take that thing that we were working on in the middle of it and we stop doing it. Our subconscious will keep working on that for all that night. And the next morning when we come back to it, we'll actually be fresher and be more energized about being able to really just get in and deal with it in a way that we couldn't have before. So it's actually a positive to set the alarm, say we're done, and then go do something totally different. Again, it's walk away.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the most critical thing for me. That's my favorite hack, is set the damn alarm.
And listen, I think you hit it though, because not only does that help us take breaks, which we're not doing enough of in this virtual or non-virtual environment, we're just not taking enough breaks. I'm guilty. So it's going to help us take breaks. It's also going to help us get more effective work done, right? Because depending on the science that you look at, right, that, X number of minutes, you're no longer good after what this long of working on. I try to do 90-minute increments for like one specific, very big rock that I'm working on. And then whatever I get done in that 90, then I've got to be done with that, right? I can come back to it another day, but continuing to plow through it, right? I mean, maybe a tactical execution, but something that requires our true mindset, we're not going to get. So not only are we going to get a break, we're going to be more effective.
And how often do you actually have a big rock that needs 90 minutes worth of solving it?
Oh yeah. Not often. Right. Right. Yeah. So really set those limitations and those boundaries. I love it. All right.
That's my thing. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for the tactical advice. Let's do 2 quick shout outs. Who else is doing some really good work in the ring around people and culture that we want to give a shout out to? People can follow, maybe even as a guest.
I think that Kurt Schmidt who is the founder of a business called Foundry. It's a tech firm, and he is doing a great job of leading an organization that it's still a relatively speaking small business, but through the pandemic, he grew the company from like 20 people to 60 people, and he's doing it with compassion and with this behavioral science lens kind of as he's going through it. And it's really cool. He's an innovator. He's a strategist. And I can't say enough about Kurt Schmidt from Foundry. I think he's Fantastic work. He's also got a great podcast, by the way.
Oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to look into him because I'm looking for more examples of great companies that we can borrow from the best from. We're doing a new podcast related to that. So I'll be looking into Kurt for sure.
The Schmidt list is
the Schmidt list. All right, good. We'll put that in the show notes as well, Tim. So last one is, let's hear some great resources, for you that have advanced your own thinking related to culture and people.
Well, there's probably a ton of online things, but when I think about really great resources, I think about people who are thought leaders who have really, really great thoughts. And the first person that comes to mind is Annie Duke, who I just think that Annie is such a compelling, personality. She's a force of nature, like one-to-one, but her most recent book is called How to Decide. And it is a step-by-step workshop on how to improve your decision-making skills. I mean, not for, should I get the extra cream with the mocha latte? Not little
like
stuff.
Big monumental.
Well, not just monumental, but how am I going to spend my day to day? What should I focus on this week? Okay, yes, do I buy a car or not? Do I buy a house or not? Do I, sure, those kind of monumental decisions. But should I, think through, maybe you've got a project at work and you're thinking about, how should I spend my time? And you may think that that's really intuitive, like that would just bubble up. It's not. No, of course not. And so I think Annie's book, How to Decide, is really great. I'm a big fan of Shankar Vedantan's Hidden Brain podcast as well. If we want to give a shout out to that. Another book, Michael Halsworth and Elspeth Kirkman did a fantastic job of writing a book called Behavioral Insights, which is an MIT Press, Masterworks series. It's a really condensed, really focused book on the application of behavioral science. I'll bet 90% of the book is on design. And I think that that's really kind of a great reminder right there. TED Radio Hour, God, it could kind of go on, all the publications and stuff that I read.
That's so good.
But is that enough?
Oh, it's so good. Thank you, Tim. And we're gonna make sure we put the Behavioral Gurus podcast in there too, because it's one of my favorites. So thanks for your work on that. And listen, I appreciate this. There's a lot going on, right? The world of work is a complicated place because it's full of humans and it's full of effort and dreams, right? So the more simplistic we can make this, the more we can borrow ideas from each other, the better off we're going to be. So thank you for the wisdom today. And thanks for what you're doing for people and culture all over.
I love it. It's been my pleasure, Anna. Thanks so much.
Of course, sending everybody peace and progress.